Yo, welcome, people. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about your kids because your kids are not all right. Now, before I say what I'm about to say, I should say that I ain't got no damn kids, okay? So part of me does kind of feel like I have no business, no right to say what I'm about to say. But then also part of me kind of feels like, yeah, maybe that means I'm the one or amongst the ones to say what I'm about to say. But all I know for now is that I do feel like somebody should say it. So I'm gonna say it. And if it turns out that I'm talking out my ass, it is what it is. All right. So I'm having a conversation with somebody, talking to him about his kids, and they're all sort of teenage kids that he has, and he's telling me that they're good kids, they're well behaved, and then he said that they never use any swear words, and they don't even use any swear words, and that stood out to me because I said to him, okay, I said to him that no, they just don't use swear words in front of you, right? And it was like, no. Like, even their teachers say that they never use swear words either. Now, immediately I'm thinking, yeah, they're not going to swear in front of their teachers either. But I thought, you know what? Let me allow it. Let me not push it too much, because at the end of the day, I don't know his kids. I've never met his kids. So for all I know, that could very well be the truth, that they never use swear words. But here's what I know based on, my own experience as once upon a time being a young person, and also at one time when I worked in a school where I had the privilege of being in a position of no authority, which meant that some of the students there felt a bit more comfortable talking how they would normally talk around me, and versus how they would talk around their teachers, and just seeing how different that was, right? But let's bring it back to swearing for a moment, because I feel like there's a lot of significance there that I want to talk about. And so when it comes to swearing, or let's say, well, language in general, language and the way we use language changes over time, and I'm sure we all seen plenty of examples of that just within our own lifetimes, as how we used to use certain words way back when versus how we use those words now, and the difference between a definition and a meaning, which, granted, I know a little bit semantical here, but definition being something pretty standard, versus a meaning is, relatively personal, or work to an individual, even to a group of people. How a word is defined versus what a word means can be different things. I think we all kind of understand that as well. As an example, if somebody was to say, that guy is uppity, how that phrase is defined versus what it means, two different things, right? And so when it comes to swear words, or what we consider to be swear words, like the fuck, the shit, that sort of stuff, for the longest time, they've been considered, rude, vulgar, words you just don't use in society, and if you did use them, if somebody did say it, you might be met with a, oh my word, you used to, oh, how dare you, that sort of thing. And it's been like that for a while. But from when I was a kid, or maybe not from, but certainly when I was a kid, and perhaps, in fact, probably from before, really, if we're being honest, probably from before that, right? But certainly when I was a kid, coming up, I can remember how we'd speak in the playgrounds, and using those words, using all those swear words that we knew at the time were naughty words, right? But that's how we spoke, and it's how we kind of communicated, and it's how we felt comfortable talking amongst each other. But at the same time, we knew that you couldn't use those words in front of your parents because you'll get in trouble. It was very sort of clear from being at home that those words you do not use, you'll get in trouble. And some of us would get in a lot of trouble, right, for using those sorts of words. So we didn't do it, and you didn't do it at home, and you didn't do it around your teachers, because your teachers might tell your parents, or anybody who might tell your parents, so authority figures, you don't use those words around them. And so that's kind of how we grew up, just learning to not be yourself effectively around other people, because the way we felt comfortable communicating amongst ourselves, we knew we couldn't do it around authority figures. So that's pretty much the message that we got growing up, that you don't get to be yourself around certain people. Now, it sounds dramatic, I know, but that's effectively what happens, because those are the boundaries that get set. You don't use those words Otherwise, there are consequences to pay. But then when you know this is how you like to speak and how you feel comfortable expressing yourself, effectively it means you can't express yourself around certain people. And when you grow up with that, when it comes to dealing with, being attracted to somebody at your school, or, fancying somebody, or, maybe somebody offering you drugs or whatever, or, just general going through life as a teenager, as a human being in this world, because you kind of already have this in your mind and your subconscious about not saying things in front of certain people. A lot of times we didn't tell our parents about what we're going through and what we're doing, and sometimes we would get in trouble, and they wouldn't tell them, or if you felt like something happened and they didn't need to know, or they could, if we can get away with it, then they wouldn't know. In fact, if you're let's say 35 or older, in fact probably even any age really, if you're an adult really, in this world, you could probably think of times when something happened that you knew would get you in trouble with your parents. You knew you get shouted at. You might even get beats, whatever it was. Something's happened. Maybe many things have happened, but your parents never found out about it because you never told them. Nobody ever told them, and there was nothing around for them to see to find out about it. So they never found out about it back then, and they probably don't even know now. Some of your parents who might be in their 70s, 80s, as you reach your 40s, 50s, and 60s, even now they don't know, right? Even now to this day, they do not know. Some of you will go to your graves and your parents will never know some of the things that you did, and it is what it is, right? At this point, they probably don't need to know, but that's not really the point I'm trying to make. It's more the fact that at that time you knew there was that thing that just told you that you could not tell your parents about what was going on. And it could have been something where you might have needed their help, but you just knew you couldn't tell them because you'll get in trouble. And I feel like as, people who were kids back then and, grow up to now and who are adults now who've since had kids and no kids are a bit older now, I feel like there's a lot of parents out there who have kind of broken that cycle of that and making sure that their kids can come to them and talk to them about things, and whether they're in trouble, whether they're not in trouble, whether they've done something wrong or whatever it is, whether they need to express themselves through swearing or whatever. They've kind of created that environment where their kids feel comfortable doing that. But then also at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of people sort of my age or so that, have had kids and their kids are a bit grown up now, that are making the same mistakes that, our parents did when we were kids, where we felt like we couldn't talk to them about the things we're going through. And because a lot of time it came down to how things looks to other people, you don't bring shame on the family, you don't embarrass the family, you don't do things that make the family look bad. And so having the good kids, being able to tell people that that your kids are well behaved was a kind of a thing. So if anything if you did anything that took away that ability to say that was a problem, because it embarrassed the family. So we didn't tell our parents a lot of stuff, and we just kind of lived with it. And maybe some of it was minor stuff, right? But then some of it wasn't. And it could have in some cases led to a lot of trauma. Like when you think about how you are now as an adult, especially those of us who just feel like we just struggle with so many things. We think like, why is that? Why do certain things feel so hard for me? And when it really shouldn't be. And then you kind of think back to this whole thing about always not being yourself, and how we pretty much just practiced not being ourselves for so long that we don't know who we are. We get to a point where we don't really know who we are as an individual, because we suppressed a lot of things for so many years. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are making these same mistakes with their kids in the name of saving face, and my camera's drooping. Saving face, and not looking bad in front of their friends and that sort of thing, or maybe or some other reason it might be, but just the end result is that their kids don't talk to them because they feel like they can't talk to them. And so what am I saying here? What's this whole thing about? Am I making a video just saying that everybody should just allow their kids to swear and use all kinds of obscenities and use any kind of language they want and say nothing about it because that's just how they speak. Not quite. What I am saying, however, is that I do feel like you need to create an environment where your kids can come to you and talk to you about anything. Anything. Not just the good stuff, the bad stuff, and all in between. You know, if your kids are only coming to you and telling you that they got an A in their history test and they're not saying anything else and everything else is just fine, it probably isn't. You know, they need to be comfortable coming to you and saying things like, you know, I tried weed today, you know, or somebody offered me cocaine, or, you know, I feel attracted to this guy that I know is a bad guy because I've seen him do bad things, whatever, but I still feel attracted to him. I still feel sexually attracted to him. They need to feel comfortable talking to you about sex, about drugs, about just life and everything that comes with it. And especially in those teenage years where you go through so many changes in your personal life, in your body, and in the way you think, and everything could be just so confusing. You're becoming an adult, but you're not quite an adult. You know, it's such a confusing period of time. And on top of that, when you can't talk to your parents about these things, when you need to be able to talk to your parents about these things, you know, that's a problem because we keep that, and that trauma stays with us, you know. So yeah, you need to create an environment where your kids can talk to you about anything, even the things that you don't want to hear, you know, even those things that your parental ears would rather not hear because you know it makes you feel uncomfortable. Those things too, you know, because if you're not talking to your kids about sex, about drugs, about all that stuff, about everything, somebody else is, and that somebody else, you know, they might be giving them good advice, they might not, but you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know at all. You'd be able to pretend to your friends that you got these good kids, that they're well behaved, that everything is fine because you're such a good parent. But the truth is they're suffering and they're struggling and they're going through all kinds of things that they just don't feel that they can talk to you about. And it is much better to deal with the ugly truth than to live a beautiful lie, because that ugly truth is dealing with the ugly truth will save them from a much uglier truth later on. So yeah, talk to your kids about things, be open with them about your mistakes, about your fears and your vulnerabilities, and you know, let them know they can be open with you, free from judgment, you know, free from punishment. You know, of course, you're the parent, you need to give them advice, you need to guide them as best as you can. I ain't saying that, right? I ain't saying that. But above all that, they need to be able to talk to you about anything, because if they're not talking to you about it, I could all but guarantee that they are talking to somebody else, or they're finding out about it through the internet. And best believe you do not want your kids learning about sex from the internet. Like if you get your sexual knowledge from porno movies, it will not end well. But yeah, talk to your kids. Talk to your damn kids. Make sure that they know they can talk to you about anything, because yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are just not facing the truth. But like I said, maybe your kids are the good kids. And if they are, that's great. But they're probably not. So talk to your kids. All right. Anyway, till whenever, if ever, peace.